Do you pause in at the end of the book and then start again another book, or do you come back and write version no almost issue two, second edition in other words, where you add until you add the new stories further later down the line. Again, a small publisher will do that work for you. A big publisher will, you never know, right? That's a big difference. Safe, and then let's try and answer your question. What about publishing a standalone short story instead of a collection of short stories? Oh, the choice is yours, my friend. You can, of course, you can write a standalone short story. I bought a book recently. I think it was barely 24 pages. See, that number matters, Safe, because Amazon insists that they're only print books that have 24 internal pages minimum. So if your short story is 24 pages, again, don't think 24 size of A4, because A4 is bigger than a book size. If you think about it, a book is much smaller than A4, right? So now, and on average, I think one page of A4, if you publish your book in I guess 5 by 8, will tend to be at least 2.5 pages, if not 3 pages. 6 by 9, it could be 2 pages at least. If you're wondering what the difference is, let me show you quickly. Right. So this is the difference I'm trying to in terms of book. Amazon has about 20 different book dimensions, Safi. So we can choose which one works for you, right? So this yellow book is 5 by 8, right? It's a small book, it's a kid's book, so it's a small book. And it's not tiny, but it is 5. It's a standard size book that we have these days. Compare that to the book behind it, which is 6 by 9. You see, there's edges, right? Now you can see the difference. The 6 by 9 it's a fair size bigger. So, if you want more pages, go with a smaller size book, smaller dimensions. If you want fewer pages, then go with a bigger dimension book. So that's Dr. Roxana's book, Family Wealth Secrets, right? So we get to choose the dimensions we want. And there's always things that we can add to your book, Safi, to make your book into 24 pages. People don't think about what really goes into internal pages. There's a title page inside the book, for example. That's one page. There's a copyright page. That's another page. There's acknowledgements. There's, I guess, sometimes you might have a preface that says what the book's about. And there's a dedications page as well. And we can always add an author bio at the back of the book, Safi. That's often 2 pages. I'm saying we'll get to 24 pages quite easily if you have a decent chunk of content that makes up most of the pages. So we can work around that size, that page number thing. But you can publish an ebook as a standalone, as many pages or 3 pages as you like, Safi. So don't if you got a story you want to publish, let's talk. That's the best thing we can do. Let's talk. Let me see what you think. Let me see what you have. And then, like I say, I'll send you first of all to Alexis and say, Alexis, please, what can we do with this? Again, the editor is more than just spelling and grammar. They normally give you ideas how to tell the story more effectively, with more impact, with more engagement, with more power, right? So she might tell you where to add more stories, Safi, where to add more. I don't know. I'm trying to find a word for it. More to say what you want to say in a way that helps the readers more. Because your book, your stories, essentially have to paint a picture, right? You have to paint a picture in the reader's minds, and the editor is essential for that part. If they can't see what you want them to see, they will tell you what you can do to, to add to your story to make it work. Look, thank you so much for joining us, my friends. And I'll DM you later. Now, let's have a Zoom. Yes, what? You're a busy lady. Let's have a Zoom. Let's do a Zoom and let me see what you're thinking. If we're gonna, if we can make it work, then we can have a conversation and start the process. Right, my friends, Dr. Yvonne. You've been way too quiet. So, yeah, well, of course, I'll come to you in a second, Journey. Dr. Yvonne, now I'm sure you've heard a lot. What say you? Has
Let
anything
me
been helpful?
see. Oh, you're seeing my table. Wait a minute. Hold on. Yeah, you can tell I'm doing work while I'm doing everything else. Well, I have to say, I I'm honest with the things I know and with the things I do not know. And so, because this is my first endeavor in writing a book, um, you know, I've been approached. I told you I've been approached 3 times. Three is my number. So, um, I believe in universal laws, right? I believe the universe acquiesce so that we may be successful if we're following the right path. And when I was approached the first time about the book, it was right after I started walking again. And I was literally in therapy. So I had several different types of therapy, right? And this one though was for my mental state because you know I was a classically trained dancer for 19 years. I was a lesbian. I was an attorney. I'm a mom, a business owner, all these things. And when all of a sudden one day you wake up and everything crashes and you can't even walk, you can't, you can't even get up to take care of your kids. And you find out that a lot of it, is psychosomatic and it's because of what you're going through. And then it actually becomes your life for 11 years. Um, and your children are so young and you're going through so many other things. So when you approached me, Annie, I was like, maybe this is the time, because I'm in the fourth quarter, I believe, of my life. And I want to enjoy my life. But I want to pass on some of the things that I went through. But I want it to be helpful. I don't want it to be something where you're sitting there crying and golly gosh golly and all that. No, I want you to see that no matter what you go through in life, if you, even if you hit rock bottom, just don't give up. Because once you start seeing that little pinhole of a light piercing through all that darkness, that light then grows. It grows as you grow, and then you find yourself being birthed out of the other side. You're a rising phoenix. And for me, I think the time is right for me now because I couldn't even have imagined, honestly, surviving some of the things that I had to go through. Uh, and then, you also have people that will say, oh, she's exaggerating, or oh, that's not true. And oh, so this effort with you and with those who will support me, because it's going to be hard, right? I know how to write a demand letter, or a threatening letter, or a letter of consequence, um, but I don't know how to write a book. So I'm looking forward to this. And I just really want to learn because I don't know. Um, but I do know what I've been through and I want to express it because I felt alone a lot of that journey. But now it's like the piercing of the veil allows me to know that I'm not alone and that what I went through, I had to go through as a chosen, and I can help other people and express myself at the same time because I make my clients journal. But journaling is writing in a way, but I want to be able to write so other people can understand and appreciate and grow. So no, I don't know very much about this topic. I just want to learn and I want to turn out an informative and a good project. You know, that's really all I can say about that. This is an experience for me that I have to learn through. Thank you.
And Dr. Vaughn, you're not alone anymore. Okay? You're not alone anymore. We gotcha. We gotcha. And we have been through
You're
similar.
so sweet. Thank you.
We gotcha, friend. But it is so scary in those moments feeling alone, especially as a woman. And I've been there, and it's fucking sucks. And you kind of have to make sense of it in your head by yourself, and you're just like, like I just want to have a friend to like talk this through. And your friend kind of becomes your paper, or your notes or whatever you do. But I think really for me, like making a consistent calendar, it can be anything. It could be like words that chapter should cover, like rape, boom. We write that chapter, we get over it. Or, just nature, boom, we get that chapter over it. So it's all up to you how you want to organize your thoughts. But you are not alone, girl. I love you.
Thank you so much, Joni. Thank you, Dr.
Wow,
Evil.
thank you.
Look,
Wow.
of course, no,
You know, I've never had friends, right? My father raised us to say that there's family and then there are associates and then there's different degrees of associations, right? And I know what it is to be like betrayed. And I grew up in the United States and I grew up in a great area, but there were groups of people that because I'm an immigrant, right? Um, and when I came to this country, right, I was 1.5. And so I grew up with the same group of people, but there were two different types of people. And one group was go back to your country, you Jamaicans eat rotten bananas. Why did your mother look like that? Or how can your father have, violet color eyes? And I mean, they pick things apart that I really should have been proud of and happy about. And then there was the other group, right? The artistic group that just adored me and adored the talented things we could do together. So I've never had what I would consider friends. It's either family or associates to 3 degrees. So Joni, thank you. I appreciate it. And we both live in the same state.
Well,
Um,
I'm your
so
friend.
that's going to be great. One day maybe we can have coffee. And when I go
I
and
love
meet Annie, it's going to
that.
be
Like,
great.
especially if it's Dunkin' Donuts.
Oh, geez. But I'm done. I'm
I'm not fancy. I'm not fancy. I like Dunkin' Donuts. All right.
okay, so now it's a love fest again. But
yeah,
I'm so elated that I found this group and that I found Annie and everyone that he seems to have a real connection to, like Mr. Calm and other people. I'm not wanting to say everyone's name because I don't remember. I'm old. Um, so I know who you are though, and I know the attitude and I know the authenticity because that is the highest vibration. People think it's love, but it's not. Love comes a close second. Being authentic is the highest vibration we can enjoy. And I believe that these are the people that Annie draws. And I'm grateful to be one because I'm completely drawn. I'm sold. Anyway, thanks, guys.
Thank you, thank you. You know, so again, you know, you are a big part of our community now, Dr. Yvonne. You really are. So thank you so much for being you, and thank you for joining us always. Joni, look, I agree with you. I think writing your story can be what we call cathartic. You know, so you know, you feel better. You know, you want to process it and put it on paper. You know, it does. This proverbial paper, my friend. It could be on screen, right? But get your story off your head. Otherwise, I tend to see people, you know, they think about it over and over and over and over until you actually get it off your head. You know, you can't relax about it almost, right? And of course, the other thing I'll say about that is someone needs to hear your story. You know, as Joni said, you know, we're never alone. It's never just us, right? You know, the other people go through what we go through, what we've been through. And if our story can help one person, I say it's worth writing the book, right? You know, if it can help you, that's worth writing the book anyway. But it definitely help more people. That's why we write books. You know, let's learn to tell our story. Dr. Yvonne, you have all that we need, which is this. You have the experience, you have the story, you've been through the journey. We can learn from you. You know, so let's tell the stories and let's make the world a better place. You know, so I always use the words, my pain is my gain. You know, and we share that with the world, right? Our pain can be other people's gain too. You know, they're not alone. There is a way through. There's a way that we survive, and they can learn from how we survived. Maybe they can use that to create their own solutions, their own strategies. But you know, if we don't tell the stories, you know, I mean, there's the issue of legacy as well. I think in all of this, you know, it is about leaving something for the world, leaving something for our kids to know. Yes, you know, my mum, my dad, my brother, my sister, you know, they created a solution for the world, and it'll be there long after we die. Long after we die. Think of books that we read now. Many of them were written hundreds of years ago. You know, so you know, we deserve to have our place, our legacy outlive us. Books are the way to do all that. You know, and the help is there to do it. Look, you know, between Alexis and I and our network, we can do pretty much everything it takes to get the book done, including write a book. You know, so Richard, I appreciate your kind words, the great insights. Professor Shirley, how are you, Professor Shirley? I haven't seen you forever, but you're here, and you commented as well. Thank you for joining us, Professor Shirley. This lady has, you know, she's been in 5 books, and she had a total of 5 books, if not more. I think she was on the next one last time we spoke, right? So, you know, she's an amazing lady, and you know, she talks to educators, mental health, and our teachers around the world. So she's in the Middle East, but she's American, and she talks about the education system in America as well. And she works with parents and educators to find that happy place. So that's what she writes about too. So you know, I'm glad you're here. Thank you so much for joining us. Very informative. I'll take it. Miss Americo, I was in your room. So yesterday, was it yesterday? Yeah, you and Jay and Omar, Mrs. Hardy. So I was there. There's so much to consider when it comes to writing the book. Now, of course, there really is. Look, that's it. Dr. CJ just joined us. Dr. CJ, again, you know, another great publisher, another one who does amazing books, especially academic books. It's Dr. CJ's thing, right? You know, my point, America, is that we create a simple process to get your book done. That's the thing, right? You know, we know the steps. That's why you go to a publisher, because we'll walk you through the steps. I know that CJ is exceptional at doing that too. You know, so if you have the stories, if you have the idea, if you have the will to put the work in and tell the world your stories and get people to benefit from your experiences, we can definitely make it happen. And I said another one I mentioned is, what's her name? Why do names just go out of your head, Dr. Yvonne? You suddenly go blank, right? Nick is what I'm thinking of. Nicole, GBW. She's an amazing help as well. Look, Dr. CJ is here, so let's hear from Dr. CJ. Then I'll go to Alexis and I'll go to Sarah, so I don't want to have the last word before we leave. Dr. CJ, how are you today?
Late to the party, but nonetheless, I'm here,
You're,
present.
you're never late. You're here and you're on stage as well. So, you just right on time is what I say, right?
That's right. Well, what are we talking about? Publishing books. Yes. You have to, I don't see Annie's amazing publisher. And I think what I do see is collaboration over competition is some people will feel comfortable dealing with one person, even though we're doing the same publishing. It's just different stories. So I love that you're elevating the community on, hey, get your stories out there, publish with a publisher that you like to work with, because it's all about energy. You want to make sure that your story is out there and you feel good about it, right? And so the right publisher and the right people that you work with makes a huge difference on how you feel about your stories. And the most important thing really is to leave a legacy of how you live your life, right? So thank you for having me on stage. I appreciate you guys.
Yeah, I love that. Look, I think there's a bit you can probably add to as well, Dr. CJ. See, my bug today is people come to us and they don't seem to understand how we work as small publishers. Whether you call yourself small or not, I'm saying we're not the traditional publishers, so we're very differently to how they work. I love people to understand how we work because I want them to get the book they want. And very often, people don't get the book they want because they don't know what they want. And they don't seem to understand that without that knowledge, without a vision for their book, Dr. CJ, we can't create the book that they want. We're not magicians, right? So if you help us, what's your, I guess, your expectations from your authors to create the book they want? What do you do? What do you go through? What do you think? As they work with you.
Okay, so to work with me, I first depends if they want to do solo anthologies or academic publishing, because I do both and I put them in major distribution channels like Barnes and Nobles and universities and things like that. So it really depends on the three, right? So let's say that if you work with me one-on-one on your book, the first thing that we want to do is, who is the whole point of your book? Like, who is your target market? Right? You got to know who that is. And if you say, hey, you know what? I really don't have a target market. I just want to help people get the knowledge that I have. Because most of my clients will say that, they don't have a target market. They just want to be out there. I said, okay. So then the second question is, do you want to just put your book out there and no expectation on sales? Or do you want to have some type of expectation on sales and have your book out there? Because those are two different budgets, right? I think a lot of people think that when you write a book and you put your book out there that you make a lot of money. That's not true, right? That's not true. You and I know that. You're not going to become a millionaire unless you're in the New Year's bestseller. You can, by the way, go to New Year's bestseller, but you spend $60,000. If you want that, let me know. I have somebody that could get us there, right? I have all of those people, but you have to know, if you're going to write a book, what your point is. Why are you writing it? Ask yourself, right? I don't just help people just to take money and go for it. No. I want to help you because I want you to feel good about the book that you write, because this could be your first and your last book you'll ever write. You never know. So I want you to feel good about that, and I want you to think about it. So I give them homework on the reality, right? You're not going to be a millionaire on creating books, but there's different ways you can make money off of your books, right? But it takes work. And if you want to travel to sign books everywhere, you can. We can do a publicist for you. We can, put it on Barnes and Nobles, because there's a lot of Barnes and Nobles and Powell's in the United States, right? We're the consumer country, so we consume a lot of those things. You got to also research which state actually appreciates reading a book, because you don't want to go in a state where no one even knows what you're talking about, and you're going there. You're going to lose time and money. So you got to research all of those things behind. And you're right, they have to pay for the right price. And actually, you and I are probably similar in our business. I'm probably much, I do different ways of looking at it. But at the end of the day, our heart, you and I, Annie, our heart is just to help and serve our community. But a lot of people don't understand that there's different ways of writing your book and there's different ways of putting your book out there. But at the end of the day, you need to know what you're writing about, who you're writing it for, and what's your budget. Really, that is where it lies.
Yeah, yeah. No, so I love that. It's every now there are different ways to make money from your book for sure. And it's not always book sales. Book sales help, but they're not going to make you rich. Really not. I think I will say this, and I'll bring it's a conversation we're going to have one day in this room as well, which is we have to learn to use our voices. The money is in your voice. The money is in your story. So writing your story is one thing. Telling your story is something entirely different. It's a continuation of your book, right? If you can find your voice and go around and talk about your book, your story, your message, to the right audiences, you sell more books, and also you'll be a better person for it, and you have more impact. Dr. CJ, now so let me pick on you one more, right? Zion said, Dr. CJ, always spot on. Welcome, my brother. Look, do join us for our next room. So Positivity Live. We're talking about how to move away from a world of negativity and negative thinking. That's what Zion and I talking about putting our Positivity Live. So do join us. I'm sure I'll send you all the link anyway. Dr. CJ, I think one thing that people really miss about working with people like you and I guess not the traditional publishers, but whether you call it small or medium, whatever you want to call us, right? I say small because I like small. Small means flexible. People don't understand the choices they have to make when they come to us. They think we're just going to take care of them, magically create what they want. Of course, I'm talking about even the look of the book. The look, the pictures, the font, the layout. The client gets the choice in everything, right? In my world, they get a choice in everything they do. And my clients have to read their book several times before we go to publish. They read the book when Alexis gives back to them as the editor. They read the book once I look at it and say, okay, here's the layout I propose. They read the book once the layout's actually done. They read the book again when the book's on Amazon, on the bookstores, whichever bookstores. The more bookstores, the more you have to read the book again, right? Make sure it looks right, sounds right, is right for you. And then we order a proof copy where you have to get a print copy in your hand. So a lot of people think we're just going to magically create the book they want, choose the fonts, choose the colors, choose the cover, and the book will be done. Please help us. I imagine you give them choices at every stage as well, right?
Yeah. So again, if they don't know who their target audience are, it's kind of hard. I can create a book cover in a split second. But if you don't know exactly who your target or your favorite color, or, I always give feedback. At the end of the day is sometimes the clients really do not know. They really do not know. So I ask a lot of questions, what about this book that you want people to know? What are the outcomes? Because I have a marketing background, right? Neuromarketing is something that I love to do. And I like my university spent like $20,000 to put me to a neuromarketing thing for the best brain surgeon out there. So that's my background and I love doing that. So I always bring my neuromarketing hat and said, okay, you have to know what you're doing and in terms of your thought process. So I ask a lot of questions and then from there I make suggestions. But at the end of the day, you're right. They have to have a choice of the color scheme, the font, and I'll make suggestions. But at the end of the day, they're the clients, right? So they're the customer. They have to feel good. And I always tell them, listen, you have to be able to trust my decision so that when we work together moving forward, and if you have a lot of choices and you I don't know what to choose, and I give you an option, and then later on you're going to say, oh, I really didn't feel good about that option, but it's too late. It's printed. You know what I mean? It's done. So I think the good thing is I always give them a way to choose every single step. But at the end of the day, Annie, you and I know that no matter what we do in terms of choices and editing and things like that, not all the clients are always going to be happy. People have a tendency to always say negative things about you no matter what you do, right? So we just pretty much stayed to our core and said, this is our process, this is how we do it. We give people choices, but at the end of the day, if they're not happy, they have to take accountability that they had choices and they choose not to choose.
I agree with you 100% on that one. So that's really a good place to leave the conversation from my side today. So I used to feel really bad. I used to feel terrible. I'm like, oh, I'm not very good at this. This is terrible. I've made a huge mistake. I haven't made a mistake. Unless you choose, I can't create what you want. But I've just learned that, Dr. CJ. I've learned the client has to be prepared. That's why I ended the conversation today. If you don't choose, I'll create. I can't create if you don't choose. That's what I've learned. That's my process now, right? Maybe I need to have a checklist for my new clients to say, tell me what you want, font-wise, color-wise, even spacing. Tell me, do you want double spacing, single spacing, everything? You have to decide. I can't just create a book, that I want to. It's your book, not mine, right? Bear that in mind, my friends. If you have a vision for what you want, we'll create it for you. So my clients who have that vision, they get the book they want. That's my title today, right? How do you get the book that you really want from us? And that's come to us with a vision for your book. Tell me what you want your book to look like. If you know that, I'll create it for you. The CJ will create it for you. If you don't know what you want, then we give you options. But and if you choose something doesn't turn out to be what you want, it's not on me. We'll help you. Don't get me wrong. We'll help. We'll try and put it right. But to redo a book that you finished, the layout for and published and printed, to redo that book again in a different font, it means a lot of work, and it might change the book from how it looks, how it feels, right? Because it might change the number of pages, for example. Bear that in mind, my friends. No, if you want your book done, my friends, talk to us. We'll happily help you. Many people in the audience have their own books. Again, talk to them. Joni has a book, Dr. Melissa has a book. So do talk to them. It's really, Michelle Ramos has a book. Dr. Roxana has several books. I think we're number 4 at the moment, I think, with Dr. Roxana. Jay has his own book. I'm saying talk to people who've done books. Work out your options. Alexis, thanks so much, Dr. CJ. You're a star. Thanks so much for joining us. Better late than never. Alexis, what do you want to leave us with today?
Oh, well, what we have here is an amazing cadre of talent, professionalism, knowledge, experience, and heart. And when people show up for this, or they come to us, they're entrusting us with their baby, you might say, their heart, their soul, their product. So on that same token, you must trust the professionalism, the suggestions that are offered to show your book in the best light, and all the steps along the way from creation and inception to not only publishing, but marketing. But offer the direction, listen to suggestions, offer the direction so that we can give the best of the knowledge, professionalism, talent to your product. And that's about it for today. Thank you.
Beautifully said. Every word you say, you said better than I would have done. So I agree with you entirely. So thank you so much. Make your choices, my friends. Cyrus, are you still there? I don't know if you are. No? Okay. Look, Alexis Safi has emailed you, she says. So she sent you an email. So it sounds like she's got a book in mind, a book, somewhere on paper.
Okay, thank you. Great. Thank you. I'll check.
Yeah, superb. My friends, thank you so much for joining us. I appreciate you all. So we're back again in 2 weeks' time. Dr. CJ has events. You know, she's doing the 50 inspirational connections. Dr. CJ, why am I telling them? You tell them. I know
Oh,
Zion's
yeah.
involved.
Yeah, so this is my third year, 50 Inspirational Connections. It's my community give back and service to people who really give back to their community. And it's free. And this year, actually, Annie, we're changing it. I'm actually giving cash prices from $10 to $100 randomly. You'll also be on the Level Up magazine for free. Everything is free. There's no money or anything. I just want to gather a community who gives back to communities and be the inspiration. Our world is full of negative people, negative ideas. And Annie, thank you so much for being an ambassador last year. I appreciate you so much.
It was,
And
it was a joy. It really was a joy. You know, so again, we did many events to highlight that, to showcase people and to showcase, you know, the 50 inspirational connections. So, you know, I feel blessed. That's why I'm so happy that Zion's in it this year as well.
yes, so nominate anybody, guys. Anybody can nominate anybody. The requirement is that you're doing something for the community that's inspirational. Again, it's free if you just go to levelupwithdoc.com, and that's it.
And thank you so much. Look, my friends, do check out the 50 inspirational connections. You know, it's worth joining. So you'll be showcased, highlighted. People will see you, hear you a lot more than you currently do. And as CJ says, it's free, and you get to win money. Imagine that. Yeah, free money, free money. Did I say that loud? Dr. CJ, this could be rather expensive, right? But anyway, thank you so much. Thanks for what you do as well for our community. You know, so we will need to be more visible. So, and I'll probably nominate Dr. Yvonne. I really will. So I'll come to that in good time. Dr. Yvonne, we'll talk later. We'll talk later, and then so it's a short form to fill in, so it's not that detailed. So
Okay.
we'll talk later. Thank you so much, everyone. Enjoy your Friday. Do come to Positivity Live if you can. We'd love to hear your thoughts there as well.
Be well.
You take care, Dr. Yvonne. Take care, everyone. Take care, everyone. Bye-bye. See you in 2 weeks. Every step forward is a new beat to your drama. She's success with Google.media.com and celebrating with or without champagne or rum. She's success with Google.media.